you're trapped in bigoted thinking, I'd like to pose some questions to ask yourself, reflect on, and when you're ready, possibly discuss here. The most important thing to remember is to be honest with yourself and don't come from a defensive position. You don't have to answer, you don't have to post, you don't have to respond. But you're the one who knows you, so think about it. Why do you feel the way that you do? I'm not looking for justification here. When you answer this question, don't just come up with all the examples of the negative circumstances you can think of, or how common the denominator is, how right you are. Those things don't matter. Think about why it is that you make the assumption that the connection between the negative and the denominator is universal. This may not even be something you do consciously, so break out a little MJ and have a night at home alone with the idea. My second question is, what would you have to give up or let go of in order to change the way you think? I've seen some people put a lot of effort into hate, especially here on YouTube. Aside from what I imagine is an insecurity of position and the consequent need to recruit others in for support, people get addicted to their emotions. This is a really esoteric thing to bring up, I realize. So I'll just recommend that you watch the movie What the Bleep Do We Know and get sort of an idea of what it is I'm talking about. The long and the short of it is that once you're saturated in anger and negativity, your body sees that as a normal or preferred state, and your actions will tend to support it and keep you there. If you're one of those who are in a constant state of disdain for others or anger, I want you to know that it is 100% rectifiable. What to do about it is a whole other video, but I suggest you get a massage or something else that you enjoy and try to let it go. For those that are particularly rabid in their bigotry, my question for you is, what is it that you get from the efforts you put in? And when you've answered that, is it good for you? If it is, can you get it in some other way? If it's not, why don't you let it go? Some bigotry is so deep-rooted and so intertwined with politics that whole groups of people are willing to kill whole groups of other people for their satisfaction. I'm talking about land war. One group of assholes, who are generally the same race or religion, oppress another group and do horrible things in the name of being superior, when it's really usually about greed. Then the oppressed people fight back, and as time passes, the original assholes die and leave their children behind. Bigotry isn't necessarily the cause of this problem, but it is the thing that keeps the problem going. Because people make the connection of the original crime to the race of the criminal and then inappropriately apply that guilt to all members of the race or people who are related to the criminal, the oppressed, or the sons of the oppressed, then become the bad guy and do terrible things to others. Then the others feel justified in their hatred and want to settle the score with whoever is left. The problem with settling a score is that your enemy is keeping a different score than you are. So where does it end? There are no people alive on this earth whose group, race, nation, etc. has a history free of some kind of fighting, corruption, hatred, slavery, oppression, invasion, and such. The humans of the past have left a hell of a legacy. If we're going to assign guilt of these crimes to the people left behind, then we're all guilty. Every single one of us. Trying to say where people are allowed to live because their race or religion or the crimes of their ancestors is bigotry. None of us are guilty for what people who came before us did. None of us are guilty for what people who came before us did. None of us chose where to be born or to who. We don't own the earth. We don't own it, and we don't pass it on to our kids. We just live here, and for a short time, too. And it's up to us whether we're going to share peacefully or leave our children a war that we didn't even start. You may think that I'm only talking about heavy bigotry here, but I'm not. A lot of it is actually very subtle and ingrained in our accepted social behavior. It's important for all of us to consciously try to eliminate bigotry from our lives, because this type of thinking is a major obstacle in the way of recognition of equality. And without equality, we cannot respect human rights. It simply cannot be done. It's a paramount ingredient that we understand that we're all equal. Because if we're not all equal, then we can't say that we all have the same rights. And as long as we're all arguing about who has what rights and blah, 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 it's just not going to happen. Until you understand that you can only hold individuals accountable for their actions, you're participating in a racist mindset. Peace, equality, and the respect of human rights requires that you abandon your us versus them mentality. We all have to be in this together, as cheesy as it sounds. You have to postpone your judgment and wait until you know the individual that you're judging. Being honest with yourself about your flaws is truly the most freeing thing in the world. And changing your mind is just proof that you're still thinking. Thanks for watching.